Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Football Talk. So, we're going to look at the latest news coming out of Manchester United. This is a quick 10-minute roundup of all the big transfer stories and stories that are currently flying out of the Old Trafford cupboards at the minute. And we're going to start with the top story, but I'll rattle through all the stories first. We'll look at Dogru and how close are we to actually getting him. I've been talking about him for a little while, got some views on that. We're looking at a new Casemiro story. There's potential news on Casemiro. There's some news on a couple of United Academy graduates. And there's a little story about Victor Osimhen and United trying to get creative around a way of maybe bringing him in with a potential kind of moves with Alejandro Garnacho. Get your words out. Okay, right. So we'll dive straight in. But before we do, if there's any chance you could give me a quick like if you're enjoying the content, thank you very much. If you could give me a subscribe, bottom right corner of the screen, that would be absolutely fantastic. Just helps me grow. It's free. We really appreciate it. And okay, enough talking. Straight into the news. Dogru, let's go. Is it a here we go? Is the question. We're getting kind of news reports coming through all the time at the minute. And if we look at the latest one, Fabrizio Romano, Manchester United, they can get Patrick Dorgu. The deal is going to be agreed in the next 24 to 48 hours. Confident and optimistic after future talks. After the further talks with a new official bid coming in soon. Okay, so that's where we are with the Dogru at the minute. Apparently, a package has been put in place. It is looking like it's going to cost around 30 odd million pound, and that's including add-ons. Now, where do you guys sit with this? How do you feel about it? Do you think this is a good deal? Do you think we're overpaying for him? Let me throw your thoughts in the comments. Yes, no, maybe. I think for me, it's more a case of I think we are overpaying for this kid. I think I don't think buying him's a mistake, but I think buying him at the value that we're buying him for. Now, I heard other content creators talk about this morning. Adam Matic in particular. Adam's stuff's brilliant. Adam does some brilliant work out there. And but where I slightly disagree with Adam on this topic is Adam thinks it's a good price. And I think I think we're still paying over the top. We are paying Manchester United tax. Because if you look at Lecce's, top signings, the other players that they've sold, he's by far going to be their most expensive. They're going to actually bring in a lot of money for him. I think we're overpaying. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's talk of Malacia now potentially going to go out on loan. Now, we bought Malacia out of I think it was around £12 million, 13 million, something like that. And we're going to send him out on loan. Kid's had an awful injury. He's going to come back. Maybe we will sell him on. But I don't even think we'll be lucky to break even on Malacia. So to think that we're going to bring in this kid, Dogru, and when have we ever sold a fullback in our history that's been worth more than what we paid for them? That's maybe not been an academy graduate where, essentially it's just all the money's profit. I just don't see that we can continue to do this. We're spending more money on a player that, should be 20 million euros in total. I mean, that's essentially what United should be paying for. I get there's United tax, and I get sometimes maybe you have to go over, but I think we're going over by a bit too much. And my fear is if we squander that extra 4, 5, 10 million, whatever it is, and this kid doesn't work out. Now, I hope he does, and I believe Rubin Amorim wants him. Great. Rubin, if he's his man, I'll back him. And, I hope the kid comes in and that he can carry the weight of this jersey. I've talked about it before. Can he carry the weight of this jersey? It's going to be tough for him. I think it's going to be really difficult. And everyone expects him to hit the ground running straight away. And he might not settle. He's young. He's 20. He's coming from a different league. We've seen it before. I mean, Patrice Evra back in the day, if you want to look at a left back who came in, took him 6 months before he even got up to speed. Has Rubin Amorim got that time? Has he got 6 months to kind of bring a player through? I actually don't think he has. So I really feel for this young kid. The last player who came through for me in recent times that hit the ground running was Bruno. And Bruno had the right mentality, the right attitude, but he was also a lot older. I think Bruno was in his mid-20s when he came in. This kid's 20. He's barely cut his teeth yet. And I just hope that the fan base get behind him and they don't slay him for a mistake, because, it may well happen, could be even in the first game. But obviously he's got potential. Rubin Amorim wants him. He can play on both sides, so he gives us a bit of cover on both. Be interesting to see whether he's more on the left or the right. I've got a feeling he's going to be on the left because that's where we have our issues. And we obviously have the young kid Leon coming through in the summer, who's also on the left side as well. That'll give us more cover there. So looks like we're kind of at least addressing the left side, but Dogru's not finished yet. There's more, so there's more to come on this. But as I said, for every United TV, Adam was kind of talking about, Manchester United have reached an agreement, and the immediate arrival of Patrick Dorgu, that was coming through from Sports Witness. And then the final one was from the MEN, who were also saying the same thing. Manchester United were probably ready to make a fresh attempt to sign this Lecce star. So these stories, they're coming fast, they're coming thick. There could be a here we go today, and I think that in this case we will potentially see Dogru as our first signing for Rubin Amorim, and I am pleased in that respect that Dogru will be coming in this particular window because of all the issues that we've had with the left side. We haven't had a left back for 18-19 months now, which is absolutely horrendous. I know we had Reguilon in from loan, but obviously we let him go back. We need some balance. Malacia will go out on loan, it looks like, to the end of the season. Hopefully that'll get his value up. Hopefully he can go out and do well. I'm not entirely sure where he's going to go. There was talk of Juventus. We'll just have to see. If he goes out there, I hope the kid smashes it. He comes back, and that if we are going to sell him, which we probably will do if Leon's coming in, I think we'll probably try to move him on in the summer and try and recoup some of the fees he was on. Now, he wasn't on a lot of money, so that's something that he's not on a big wage, so we could potentially do that. Now, just the final thing on the Dogru thing is, yes, we're paying, I think, over the odds for him. I think he's a good player. I think Rubin Amorim can mould him because he's young. I think that is the potential of him, but again, potential. I think he'll get a hold of him and kind of mould him into the player he wants to be. And if he can do what he did with his players at Sporting, yes, then we've got half a chance here. And he potentially could be a really, really good signing for us. And now he's only coming in on £70,000 a week roughly on wages. So again, that is good. I'll praise where praise needs to be. £70,000 in wages, grand. We can live with that. It's not too much. Obviously to you and me it's probably quite a bit, but in the grand scheme of things, football wise, yeah, decent. So let's go. Let's move on from that. Okay, so we'll look at the next story coming out, which is just breaking before I started to create this little video. Casemiro is open to a move to Roma, and Manchester United are willing to let him leave on loan before the window closes. Now we just seem to be a loan team at the minute. We just seem to be a team that just loans players out. Anthony's going to go out on loan. Probably Casemiro is going to go out on loan if he does go now, because there's still talk of the Saudi market, but we're not entirely sure where that is. We know the Saudi player, there has been European players have left Saudi, so there is still that potential. But now, as I said, Melissa Reddy's just come out there. You've seen breaking that Casemiro to Roma. I think that is an interesting one. I do believe we've got to get the wages off the bill. His wages are astronomical, and he's not playing any minutes for. He's not really playing. His last game was the Newcastle game, which unfortunately he was very ineffective in, and he really struggled in that game. So I just think if the Italian league may well suit him. If Roma can kind of negotiate something with us and we can get him out the door. As I said yesterday, we've got Collier coming in, which will take over. That is a potential move that could work really well. But, throw your comments in below. What do you think? Yes, no, Casemiro, in, out, where, what would you do? Would you take, ideally you'd want to sell him if you're going to move him on. But, right now I think we're kind of in limbo. So we need to maybe look at the loan market, and Roma could be a good option. And okay, so that's where we are with Casemiro. And there was a little story coming out about Victor Osimhen, and United potentially getting creative over a deal, getting Osimhen in another loan deal, because with Napoli still want Garnacho, and they're obviously trying to kind of rival with Chelsea. But from what we know is Garnacho doesn't want to leave United, and if he does want to leave United, he wants to stay in the Premier League. He wants to stay in the Premier League. So that means I think Chelsea is probably his best bet. If we could do a deal where, what would you think? Would you go for a Victor Osimhen kind of Garnacho swap deal, if that was on the cards? Swap deals are notoriously difficult to do, and the last one we didn't really work out with Sanchez coming from Arsenal and Mkhitaryan going the other way. That one really didn't work out. But would this one work? Would Osimhen come in for Garnacho, having Dogru, knowing that you've got Dogru for the left side? let me know your thoughts. I think that's an interesting one. I don't think anything will come from it. I'll be very surprised if it did, because these deals are notoriously difficult to do, and we don't really see them very often. But one to keep an eye on. And then the final few stories are there. These are kind of sort of more to do with the academy, but there's the move that young Ayden Heaven from Arsenal to United is potentially on. Manchester believe they've successfully lured the kid away from Arsenal. The Athletic are reporting this. United's charm offensive has worked, and the young defender is expected to move to Old Trafford. It was Old Trafford last week for United's last week's dramatic win over Rangers. So he would have got a slight taste of European football. Arsenal obviously in the Champions League, but we've got Obi Martins from Arsenal already this year, and he's been absolutely brilliant in the reserves, or in the under 18s and the under 21s. There's real potential in the kid. So maybe young Haven could be the next one to come through the Arsenal Academy into United's Academy, and hopefully we can kind of work wonders with him. But again, these are all for the future. And then the final story is which is coming out, and there's mixed reports on this one. So the Muppeteers, Manchester United, MUFC, MPB, Manchester United still hope to secure both a deal or loan deals for Harry Amas and Dan Gore. And I think on those ones, there's talk about Harry Amas Rubin Amorim might have done a bit of a U-turn, because if Malacia goes, I think they might want some cover, and Amas has been doing pretty well in the younger squads, and I think maybe he will act as cover if Malacia goes. So I think Amas might stay. I think Dan Gore does need to go. Dan Gore, I think, is a very, very good player. He might not make it at United, but he's one to watch. I think he's got the potential to do really well in the future. Good kid. He's a bit of a dynamo in midfield. And it's just a shame that he might not kind of fit into our squad. That injury that he got last year maybe has hampered his progress. But that's where we are with all the stories at the minute. If you're enjoying the content, guys, please hit me a like. Please hit me a little subscribe. It'd be absolutely amazing. Love doing this. And yeah, that's your roundup. Catch you on the next one.